Ayo, I am hyped to be back. You are back here with Jeremy, also known as Build, and we are back for a blowing up a mech build. So the first thing you're gonna do is take all the parts that you need, put them in a blender, and what's actually gonna happen is we're not gonna blend them, but it did give me an idea to actually blend miniatures. So if you're interested in that, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. It's the best way to help me right now as a fledgling channel, so I really appreciate it. Thank you to everybody who's already liked and subscribed and watched my videos. I super appreciate it. Thank you very much, guys. We're gonna start with 2 model kits. The way I picked these was I went to the hobby shop and I was looking for 1/72 scale. I found that tank in 1/72 scale. I thought that tank looked awesome, and that's why I picked that. The other one, it looked like it had potential, and it was 1/76 scale. The owner of the shop actually said that a lot of companies are reverting back to 1/76. How true that is, I really have no idea. I also picked up a pack of these French soldiers, and they are going to serve as a faction in this universe. This universe is going to be a diesel mech, Europe inspired universe, similar to Europe but not Europe. This universe is inspired by Boylai Hobby Time. You guys may know him. You probably do know him. I've never met the guy, but he seems like an absolute gem, and he's doing tons for the hobby, so I'm going to link him down in the description. He doesn't really need my shout out at all, but I'm still going to link him down because he helped to inspire this build, his Western Town series specifically. So yeah, go check him out. Other thing that inspired this is a board game called Scythe. Now, I have never played Scythe, but I've always wanted to, and it looks really cool. And there are diesel mechs in it, I believe, at least from the pictures on the board game box. That's what we're doing today. And I figured, well, what can we do with this mech to make it even cooler is to, well, you guessed it, blow it up. As you guys can see, we have taken them out of the box. We are snipping. I'm looking for parts that look like they could be used. I really have no idea what I'm doing here, but I'm taking parts that look like they could be used for a mech, snipping them out, cutting them up. A lot of these parts were modified. Here you're gonna see a little time lapse thing of the build. It's pretty fun. It's fun to not follow the instructions. There are going to be seams in the build, and so that's why I took that hot glue and I basically just puddled it in there. It's going to do 2 things. A, it's going to block those seams of light that shine through, and B, it is going to hold things together. For this build, I have this little plywood. I got this from the dollar store. Check out your local dollar store for it. It may be there. I had to cut sides for this, which is a little unfortunate because a bandsaw would be a good thing to cut the sides with, but I don't have one, and so there's definitely potential for error, which happened. So I had to fix that error. The way you can fix that is with a power sander, preferably an orbital. You can use a palm sander, whatever. But if you don't have that, again, you can just grab sandpaper, put it on a flat surface, and sand it just like I did, so you avoid rounding edges over. Here we're just taking spackling. This is stuff they use for trim. It's 15 minutes, so it's quick. Dries right away. And you're just gonna blend that seam in. That was a miscut. Dirt, PVA, some water, and we're gonna make a paste to put onto the plywood. And I'm gonna mix it up. I try to not get these too thin because they're a pain then to work with, and they take forever to dry. So here I'm putting water on the plywood, basically because when I put the dirt on, it's gonna soak up the moisture from the dirt right away, and it might not adhere to the wood very well. They'll actually do that in construction a lot. Shout out to my cat here. If you guys can guess his name down in the comments, you're a legend. The hint is he is named after a good Star Wars character. Never turned evil, a good Star Wars character. Now when I pull this out of the package, I got real troll vibes from this. Little strange. This stuff is actually kind of garbage. It was $4 from the hobby shop. But will I buy this again? Definitely not. Do I have a static grass applicator? No, I definitely do not. Would this have been a perfect time to use it? Yes, definitely it would have been. The method here was, as you could see there, it was really Ako Taco. Cutting these things up was just, it made a huge mess. I ended up basically trying to turn myself into a static grass applicator. As you can see there, I was kind of cutting it on. I put watered down PVA onto the dirt, and then I was kind of cutting it on like a static grass applicator, just close to it so that they generally stand up. But I got a decent-ish kind of hayfield there is what I was going for. Am I too proud of it? Not too proud, but I'll try to fix it up later. Primed with the model. Got out a green. And this isn't necessarily just because it's an army color, because in this universe, these factions, there's going to be two factions. They're going to be at war, and I didn't pick the color again necessarily just because it's an army color, but I do like this olive color that I picked up. It's a game color. We're going to move on to the electronics. So we're going to get a game plan for them, draw up a plan, because you always need a plan. So we're going to go there. We're going to pass the wide receiver. And yep, that's it. Yep, sports. So once that's done, we are going to map out on the base where we want the mech to be. This is fairly easy. I did this while the dirt was still not dry, so that I was able to imprint it, and I can see exactly where I want the wires, and they're going to run up right through his foot. I'm not going to go over how I wired this, etc., etc. There are a million other videos on YouTube that will do a way better job of explaining how to wire up LEDs, etc. for your hobbies. So go check those out. I won't have any links because you can type that into the search bar. I'm taking a ball of LEDs from the dollar store. Again, LEDs for dummies. And I'm putting them up in the cab or caboose, I guess you could say, of this mech. And then I'm going to paint them all orange, all these LEDs, so that they give off a orange glow. Boom. We have light. I picked this up at Diorama. It's that stuff that you use for your little Christmas town, and it's perfect. I've seen people use stuff from pillows, the inside, but I could not find a pillow actually, and I happened to walk by this, and I thought, hey, that is perfect. Here I am taking wire. This is that, you saw that coil there? I'm sure your dad has a coil of this back when he worked as a laborer in the summer of '72. Between his years at university, he probably has a coil of this wire, so ask him for one if you need it. All I'm doing is I actually end up cutting these, so don't pay too close attention to those. The idea was to have shrapnel flying off of the mech, but I did not really like how it looked in the end, so I ended up chopping them. They still ended up working. You can still use it as kind of bracing for your stuffing. And as you saw there, I took Null Oil. You can use any shade, and I shaded the whole thing, making it really grimy and dark. And then I'm just taking a silver color, and this is Lead Belcher by Citadel. It's just a darker gray again. I'm not picky with paints. I'm just highlighting some details there, and then taking some effects and putting them around joints, etc., slime effects. Okay, so I don't have an airbrush, as you can tell. Would I love to have an airbrush? Yes, but airbrushes cost money, and a lot of things in life cost money. So I've never really needed an airbrush for anything. Would have helped here, yes, but I figured, what's the next best thing? Well, there's those little bottles in the toiletry section at your dollar store. I got one of those. I put in some orange paint, and I made my own airbrush. Did this work? Yeah, it actually did. Is it as good as an airbrush? No, probably not, but it did the job. took some black spray paint. Most people have black spray paint hanging around, and I did the edges there. I didn't have to do the same thing with black. You can do, honestly, you could have got orange spray paint, but again, that's $10, and I don't think I'm ever going to use orange spray paint for anything ever again. Now it's just measuring out where that switch is, and as you can see, it's a toggle switch, but it has this cool cap cover, which you can see in the frame right now. The idea for that was, I don't know how it blew up or why it's blowing up, but I thought a cool backstory would be that a saboteur potentially got a bomb onto the mech or in the mech, whatever. I don't know, maybe you guys can think of something cooler. Post it down in the comments. I'll pin it if it's really cool. But the toggle switch kind of acts as this like almost detonation thing, which is cool. And here you can see me break the plywood. Never work with a dull drill bit. That was a dull drill bit, and you can see, I mean, the plywood was thinner at that point because I'm drilling the hole. And so I was putting so much pressure down because the bit was so dull that I ended up breaking it. I was able to salvage it, but again, that's exactly why you don't work with dull tools. We ended up making it work. We tack the switch in, and I'm going to tack in all the electrical here just with hot glue. And you're going to see here too that I'm going to glue it in, but then kind of putting these little tacks around it to help keep it in. Nothing fancy. You're not tossing this thing around. It doesn't have to be able to survive an earthquake. Running the wires through for the mech now. These are also going to serve as pins for the mech, so I won't have to pin the legs later. The copper is pretty strong, and I'm gonna glue down the feet pretty well so this thing's not going anywhere. Pull those through, and it's gonna line up obviously right to the spot that I had it marked. So once that's done, I'm using hot glue and super glue for the legs. Double punch combo. Left hook, right hook combo. And I'm giving this mangy guy a haircut. There was hay going everywhere. Because there's hay everywhere, and it was literally getting everywhere. I had to seal it in with some PVA and water. Right here, you're gonna see the type of brush that I like to use for this marring effect, scratching effect, dinging up effect. You're taking a kind of hard brush, old brush, and just taking some black paint and putting some marks and chips on your mech. Specifically, I'm using this dry technical paint by Citadel. I've only used this once or twice. It's actually for rust effects, that's why I bought it, but it works perfectly as a highlighting effect for lighting. If you watch the Tinker video, I used the same one there. I used it excessively on the Tinker video because the whole ground was muddy, but I just used it on his feet a bit here. You can see that orange there in the background. I think it looks really good. It's pretty simple too. Like, it makes you feel like a professional when you're not. I definitely am not. Now I had to paint the sides black, not at the end. It's usually at the end, but to get that switch on, I had to do it before. And just slot that on. The needle nose pliers were the thing that I had hanging around. You can obviously use a wrench or anything else to tighten that. Now we're coming in for some finishing touches. It's a diesel mech, so it's obviously got to have diesel fumes, which is a big plume of black smoke exhaust. I'm going to tip that in the way that this machine is tipping. And obviously the blast happened on, as you're looking at, on the left side. So the machine's flying kind of backwards to the right. And so the smoke has to fly in the way that it's falling. I'm cleaning up the grass. I basically took a beige and I basically just brushed it over the grass. I took a strong tone wash from Army Painter, which is basically just a brown. Again, you can use whatever. And I just put it in the rows to distinguish the rows more. I wasn't quite happy with the blast still, so I added some acrylic paint to it. You won't see this here, but I hit it with some black spray paint one more time, and I hit it with some orange. And you're gonna see the end results.